Hello, viewers of Public Access TV. This is Talkshow 1.0, a.k.a. Launchpad. I'm your host, Stephen Chun, and we're an exciting collaborative forum of BAVAC and SF Commons. And each episode, we talk about emerging and established artists in the Bay Area. And we're joined here today by Andrew Werby, who is a digital sculptor. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, tell us, first of all, what is digital sculpting?
Well, it's a lot like regular sculpting, but you use different tools. People seem to think that the computer does all the work. This is not true.
It's not, no.
No, there's plenty of stuff for me to still do with my hands. And in fact, one of the tools that I use is a haptic device, which gives me force feedback. So I'm actually touching the thing that I'm working on.
So you're not just using quote unquote digital assistance, as the title may seem to be.
Well, it certainly does help, but I've been trying to make the tools do what I want and not just let them do what they want.
Now, how'd you get all into this? What did you study art history, or maybe you were inspired by something? Just briefly tell us.
Well, I was mostly interested in learning all about sculpture techniques and the craft processes that would let me do things. Let me make anything I wanted, essentially.
Okay. Got it.
And when I was in the University of California, my teacher was Peter Volkos, and he was rediscovering the process of casting bronze by hand. Historically, sculptors had always brought their clay models to a foundry, and they'd do what's called pointing them up, which is like making them bigger, making a mold, casting them in bronze, and all that was sort of out of the hands of the sculptor. But what we learned to do was to do all that stuff ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we learned how to do was make molds of things, right? So when you make molds of things, it's a magical process. You're taking something and you're transforming it in a way that sort of loses its identity. And what I started to do was take a mold of one thing and combine it with another thing and come up with a combination object that was a little bit unidentifiable, sort of mysterious. And so I just kept doing that.
And you have some pieces here today. Show us something that you've done. You were at computersculpture.com and kind of walk through with us how you made one of these pieces.
Okay, well, we got to back up a little because the process of making these things with molds is what I did for a long time.
Okay.
Before
Back up. Let's back up.
Back up.
I want to see it. It is off camera right now, but it's amazing. That's why I'm so excited. Well, but let's back up. Walk us through it.
To start making these things, I went through a whole process for years and years of making things by hand with my molds, and I learned how to make them in ceramics and bronze and clay and plaster and all kinds of different things. But at a certain point, I realized that computers are getting sophisticated enough so they could help me in this. And I had to sort of become a more technical person than I had before, than I was before, and learn how to do 3D scanning and 3D modeling, which was pretty new at the time. So I was able to, despite people telling me it couldn't be done, I was able to make it work on a small scale in my studio.
How long you been molding, you should say, because you said it's a big chunk of your time.
Yeah, well, the whole molding process, which I call juxtamorphic art, for putting things together and that are forms, was maybe 25 years or something.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
So, I had a chance to fully develop it. And then it was sort of tearing it all down and going back to scratch because, I wasn't really very good at this digital stuff originally. And so I had to, build my technique up and, start accumulating the tools and the techniques to be able to make it work to my satisfaction.
Okay.
But, I did that.
So what is this piece here, and is it, how should I say, kind of what you've been doing for 25 years, or is it a new way?
Well, it's an outgrowth of it. I've always concentrated on these natural forms.
Got it.
It seems to me that that's what's really important in the world as far as art's concerned. These are the basic forms that we're given to, form whatever sense of beauty we can come up with. And they were always beautiful to me, and I just got fascinated with them.
Got it.
And so I've got, some spine of a sheep, I think this started out. No, actually, this was a python.
I was going to say python too.
Yeah, but it's been morphed a little so that
Of course. Okay.
it's not quite the same as it
And what's
was.
holding, is that supposed to represent the Earth, the globe?
Actually, this piece is called A Souvenir of Our Universe for visitors.
Oh, do tell.
I used a lot of this free imagery that NASA puts on their website, and used a technique called displacement mapping,
Okay.
where you can take a 2D image and bump it up into 3D. You take
wow.
the dark pixels, you make them low.
Okay.
You take the light pixels and make them high, and you can get a contoured surface that way. And so I made a bunch of little patches like this to make this little planetoid
Oh, look at
here.
that. It actually spins too.
Yeah. Well, 3D printing is great, and
Yeah, it is.
this 3D printer is unique in that it can do color.
What other pieces do you have?
Well, I brought this little thing
Wow.
called Rubum viridis, which is a combination of little pieces of red coral that I collected,
Okay.
and then I was able to make them into a sort of a semi-geometric thing and repeat it and mirror it.
Okay.
And this has also got ammonites. I love these fossil things.
Yeah, really.
Fossil coral. And, well, it's hard to see, but...
Is it sharp? Is it heavy? Can I hold it?
Oh, sure.
Am I going to get in trouble? Well, it's really light, actually.
Yeah.
It is definitely light. And you said this is what type of material?
Well, it's a plastic.
It mimics what type of bone? One of them was
Coral.
Coral, okay.
Coral, ammonite, it's a fossil shell.
Right, yeah.
And then there was a fossil coral in there that's mostly as a negative form.
What do
One
you-
of the interesting things is that you can do these Boolean subtractions, they're called,
Okay.
so that you get the surface of a form on the inside, like as the inside of a cave or something.
Right, yeah. Where do you come up with your ideas? I mean, you were talking about the NASA images, but other things, I mean, on your website, computersculptor.com, there are just a million other objects. And they do have kind of the same theme, but they're still very different. Where do you come up with your ideas?
Well, most of my art stuff is actually on my site called juxtamorph.com. I just have a representative sampling on the Computer
I see.
Sculpture site,
Okay.
which is something that I've put together to help people get into this stuff.
Got it.
I sell them the scanners and the software and the little CNC machines that I use to
Okay.
make my art. But the nice thing about working with actual materials is that you don't have to have an idea fully formed when you start. You can just start playing with things and seeing how they work. And when you're doing this with computer technology, nothing's permanent. So you haven't destroyed anything when you put a form
Good
together.
point. Yeah. Yeah.
Control Z, back to start.
Undo.
Right. And
Right.
You can do it as many times as you want until
Now,
it looks right.
I'm going to ask a stupid question. Can you bring in one of the larger pieces, which is
Oh, sure.
up to 5 to 7 times larger? Audience, look
Yeah.
at the size of this.
Yeah. This is, not
Walk
gonna
through with
fit in
us the name of it and what
But-
did you model on after the different layers.
Oh, well, this is a carved piece. Those were 3D prints.
Oh,
right?
I
So
see.
they're done additively.
Okay.
When I first started doing this, the 3D printing was really in its infancy, and wasn't very easy to do, and especially it wasn't easy to do large. So I worked out a technique of CNC carving. CNC stands for computer numerically controlled, and these are machines that take computer instructions and they'll cut out my form with motorized carving tools, essentially.
Okay.
So anyway, this is made
So this
out
one
of
you
wood.
hand carved this.
Well, you can't call it hand carving because the machine does the carving, really. I hand programmed it.
I think that's still the same with being a digital sculptor. Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, this is made out of repeated forms of a daisy center. Actually, those double spirals that you get in the center of a sunflower or a daisy.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's what's going on here, and then we've got the a citron also called the Buddha's hand up here, and then this is a flower bud that I've sort of morphed.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a matter of taking these things and sort of schmoozing them.
Yeah,
together
really.
So
Really.
that they work. And
Can I hold this one?
Oh, sure.
And then you can show us another
lot
piece.
heavier.
Yeah, this one is a lot heavier. There's one more piece you have to show us.
Sure. This one here is done with some fossil pieces. This is ammonites here, and this is a what's this called? Piasabia nut. Sometimes it's hard to remember exactly what I used.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it. These are little scarab beetles. But anyway.
Can I ask a stupid question just because this is new to me? Is it the bigger the piece, the more time it takes, or is it because with the assistance of digital software, it really doesn't matter?
Well, it doesn't matter that much. Certainly, if you're carving a piece to the same degree of fineness, a larger piece will be on the machine for longer. But on the other hand, you don't have to stand there the whole time and watch it do its thing.
Good point.
So, as long as you check on it, make sure it's
Right.
doing its thing and it's happy.
Right.
It'll just keep going and going until it's done. These things will take, a day or so to carve.
Okay.
But-
How long to design?
It can be years.
That's what I was asking. Right.
But you can put something aside.
Yeah.
Then you
You
have
must have multiple finished, unfinished, almost finished sculptures.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I get one piece. I put it together with another piece. I have a sort of a hybrid thing, and I can use that in various different ways. Right. I can repurpose it. I can make it bigger and smaller. It might go together with another hybrid that I've got, or I can add a third piece to it. So these things just keep breeding.
I'm going to ask a very fanatic question. How tall is this piece, or the height of it, and then what is your current largest piece that you have in your collection? So
Well, this piece is about 36 inches or so.
okay.
And my current largest machine will carve something a little bit taller than that and considerably wider.
Okay.
But there's no really theoretical limit to how large a piece can be, because I can make pieces of pieces and put them together and make quite large assemblies. If
Got
need
it.
be.
Now you've been doing this for 25 plus years. What has kind of been
Well, I did the molding stuff.
the molding?
I'm old. So I did that molding stuff for 25 years.
Right.
And then for the last 15 or so, I've been doing this digital stuff.
Okay.
And like I said, there was some learning curve there, but I
Right.
feel like I've been pretty good at it for the last 10 or so.
Let's just say this very moment you want to end this career, which is not true, but I just want to find out what has kind of been the biggest joys of this whole journey with you. We're highlighting established artists, and you are one of the most established of our guests for our shows.
Thank you. I don't feel that way, but I mean, I guess I got to be ready to quit any time. But the joy of it is the joy of discovery,
Nice.
right? It's a journey,
Okay.
and I don't feel like I'm finished. I've made my masterpiece. I can just go retire or anything.
Oh, that's
You know,
exciting. I like that.
I just keep going. Bigger, better. Try different techniques. There's all these different 3D printers I've never tried. I can build larger machines and do bigger carved pieces. I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what can be done, and that's the exciting part about this digital sculpture.
So what are kind of in regards to, well, in addition to learning more and learning new ways, what are just the next steps for you as a business owner, as a digital sculptor? Are you going to be featured in a movie? Are you going to be in a show, or you're selling it to a very famous celebrity?
Well, that would all be great, and I'm certainly open to all offers.
Sure, done. Where's the genie?
Yeah, maybe the big celebrity will see this show and give me a call, and that'd be fine. It's actually the movies that have pushed the 3D scanning to the point where it's a useful thing now, and as a business, I'm always looking for new products to bring my customers, something that's at a better price point and works a little better. I'm looking for better 3D scanners now that'll deal with larger things, and I haven't so far been selling 3D printers, but they're getting there.
Yeah,
They're getting there to the point where I would consider selling them.
And for our audience, where are you located? Where are you based out of? And where can we find you?
I'm in Oakland, California, and I'm been online primarily.
Okay. And what's the website again?
Well, for my art, it's juxtamorph.com, JUXTAMORPH, and if you want to find the tools that I sell, that's at computersculpture.com.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is amazing. I've probably, because I'm such a clumsy klutz and rambunctious little guy to drop everything, this is the closest I've ever been to such enormous and amazing artwork. So thank you for joining us.
I'm glad you like it. Even if you drop it, it probably won't.
Well, I won't. I can guarantee you that. Thanks again for joining us.
Well, it was a pleasure.
I'm here with digital sculptor Andrew Werby. You can be found...
Werby.
Excuse me, Andrew Werby. See, I'm just so wowed out by the piece. Andrew, let's try that again. Andrew Werby, digital sculptor at juxtamorph.com as well as computersculpture.com. My name is Stephen Chen, and I'm your host of Talkshow 1.0, a.k.a. Launchpad. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.